I think Pat touched there just on some percentages for the trade from the countries that we're dealing with. You see, obviously, there's a lot of European business. European is a little bit different now in the UK. When I joined the industry 25 years ago, the norm would be that we'd have a UK-based driver who you would send out to Europe, who would do several deliveries on his way, go to a main depot in, let's take Germany as an example. So he'd set off from the UK, he'd drive through to Dusseldorf or to Munich. He'd maybe do a delivery on the way, collect and then return. Sort of over the last, I would say definitely the last 10 years, that market's changed to where most of the equipment is foreign owned. So most of the vehicles will be owned within Europe. Many Eastern European countries have the drivers. So a lot of trucks from Czechoslovakia and from Poland. And these guys will come into the UK and they will do our loads back to Europe. So the market's definitely a changed thing in Europe, and a little bit of the control has gone in terms of what we can control in the UK with our vehicles. But we tend to find the vehicles everywhere. It's a huge market. There's so many trucks. If you ever come to the UK and you go anywhere near the M25, you'll see that the amount of freight vehicles on the road is incredible. It is, and it's 24 hours a day, and there's many vehicles. I'm sure you've got places, maybe a New York port that relates to something like the same, but the M25 is a site in itself. So you'll see the business that we're trying to touch on within those markets is obviously the Chinese and the American business, which is a huge percentage in terms of what business we do from the. Yeah. So we've got some industry sectors up on the screen there where you can see. So as I said, we've touched on it already that the UK is quite a small place. So you've obviously got the industries which are in and around London, huge population down there. So you've got 8.5 million people in London. So there's obviously industry in terms of a lot of fashions, that type of thing in the London market. You then come a little bit further north within the Midlands there. You see where it says England in the middle, sort of the middle area there. You've got a lot of industries that's where the car industry is based. There's a lot of heavy industry, a lot of steelworks and that sort of thing. Coming a little bit further north to where we are, we're in an area called Sheffield. So in the north there's a huge area for the production of steel. And we, as a company, have been lucky enough to be involved with some aerospace steels, which have stayed very buoyant even through the time. I'm sure you're all aware that steel's been through a tough period over the last 2 or 3 years with, obviously you've got the current situation with Donald Trump's duty amounts. But before that, there was a mass influx of Chinese steels coming in to America and also into the UK. But we've been lucky as a company that we've stayed in an industry that does aerospace type steels. And we have, every week, we'll have, I would suggest probably between 50 and 100 tons of steel, which moves from one shipper alone in the Sheffield area, which we send through to New York, which was the reason for my drive to Rochester, and also through to Los Angeles. And that's a big business there. So, and then obviously as you move up to the main part of England there, you go a little bit further north, there's the area of the northeast, Newcastle being the main area there. And that again is a big industrial area. Labour seems to be a little bit cheaper than the areas of London. Life's a little bit cheaper to live in those areas, so that becomes a big industrial area for general type products of chemicals and well, everything that comes out of there really. It's quite a big manufacturing area. And then as you go up to Scotland, Scotland is it's a huge place by comparison to the rest of the UK. Probably from the UK border up to the top of Scotland, you probably could drive, definitely 4 or 5 hours. It's a beautiful place as well. If you've ever had the pleasure to go there, it's really nice. But the industry is quite limited in Scotland to 3 or 4 major towns really, which is Glasgow and Edinburgh, which are in the south of Scotland, and ranging up to Dundee and Aberdeen, a little bit further in the north, where the Aberdeen area tends to be more of the drilling and the oil industry for the oil rigs. There's many oil rigs in that area up there. So the main business that comes from Scotland would be Glasgow and Edinburgh, and the main business then coming further south would be if Newcastle comes down. Everything seems to come down slightly. So things from Newcastle would maybe move into Manchester, especially for air freight. Things in around the M62 corridor where we are would again tend to move to the Manchester area for air freight. So it's again, we know it's only a small area. There's probably a big 5 or 6 main industries within within the UK there. Just touch briefly, I know there was a question on it from something I received previously. Cornwall there, which is at the bottom of the country, lovely place to visit on holiday. Not a great deal of industry down there. It's a long drive, there's no major routes, there's no main motorway which links sort of Bristol down to the bottom of Cornwall. So there's not much more down there than a sort of holiday industry. And if you've all heard of them, Cornish Pasties.